Welcome to IRA's online classes. In this session, we'll go for something on vocabulary. Now, what do you mean by the word vocabulary? Vocabulary means what? Now, vocabulary means word power. The number of words we know in a particular language is termed as vocabulary. In this case, it is the English language. Now, as you know, in the test, we cannot expect colloquial language. What do you mean by colloquial language? C-O-L-L-O-Q-U-I-L, colloquial, local language, informal language, what we use every day while speaking. We cannot expect colloquial language. What we can expect is standard English. That means we need to have a good knowledge of the new words in the English language. We need to build a vocabulary. And to build a vocabulary, we can get some help from prefix, suffix, and root. Prefix, suffix, and root will surely help us build a vocabulary. Now, how many alphabets in English? 26? No, that's a false belief. Now, since childhood, we have been learning that there are 26 alphabets in English. That is wrong. There's only one alphabet in English. Now, every language has only one alphabet. 26 letters are there. So, those 26 letters together can be termed as the English alphabet. Now, if your mother tongue is Telugu, how many alphabets in Telugu? 56? No. 52, I don't know. There are no 56 alphabets in Telugu. There is only one alphabet in Telugu. The 56 letters, they are termed as letters, not alphabets. Those 56 letters together can be termed as a Telugu alphabet. So every language has only one alphabet. The rest are called letters. What do you mean by prefix? Pre means what? Now if you learn 300, 400 words by heart and go to the exam, you cannot be sure whether those words will appear in the exam or not. So instead of by hearting words just like that, when you learn words, try to associate them with these three. The commonly used prefixes, suffixes, and roots. A good knowledge of the commonly used prefixes, suffixes, and roots will surely help us make educated guesses, not just guesses, educated guesses about the meanings of words as well as the charges of words. And that will surely help us while approaching questions in the vocabulary part, like antonyms, synonyms, and one-word substitutions. When you go for an antonym question, if the word given in the question is positive, the antonym of it must be negative. So all the positive options can be eliminated. Similarly, if the word given in the question is negative, the antonym of it must be positive. So all the negative options can be eliminated. So these three will surely help us make educated guesses about the meaning of a word, or at least about the charge of a word. Now I keep telling you, when you approach a verbal question, no matter which type of question it is, the two things that need to be focused on are, one is understanding the context. Understanding the context means the meaning of each and every sentence or each and every idea must be understood by us. That is understanding the context. The second thing is identifying the charge. Identifying the charge in the sense whether a question or an idea carries a positive charge or a negative charge. So these are two things that need to be focused on when approaching every type of verbal question. Now, what is a prefix? Pre means what? Before. If I say pre-degree, that means before degree. So the letters that come at the beginning of a word is termed as a prefix. Suffix that come at the end of a word. What do you mean by root? The main part of a word, from the word from which the word originates. The origin is termed as a root. In English, we have many words borrowed from other languages, like Greek, Latin, and many other languages. So anything from which a particular word originates, the origin is termed as a root. Now, as I told you, these three will surely help us to a good extent. I'm not saying we'll get complete help from these three. These three will surely help us to a good extent while approaching questions in the vocabulary part. If I say anti, A-N-T-I, anti is a negative prefix or a positive prefix? Anti is a negative prefix meaning against or opposite, right? Anti means against or opposite. If I say, when you take a movie, I say Prabhas is the hero and Rana is the villain, right? Prabhas is the hero and Rana is the villain. Who can be termed as the protagonist and who can be termed as the antagonist? One is a negative word and one is a positive word. Which is a negative word here? Protagonist or antagonist? Antagonist is a negative word, whereas protagonist is a positive word. Antagonist becomes a negative word. The simple reason is anti is a negative prefix. Whereas protagonist becomes a positive word because PRO is a positive prefix meaning something or someone that is given utmost importance. So these two prefixes here help us identify charges of these two words. As I told you, identifying the charge is one of the two things we need to focus on. It will surely help us eliminate options. So the main character or the hero is termed as the protagonist. And the antagonist is a person who is against the hero. That means the protagonist becomes a hero, antagonist becomes a villain. Now what do you mean by the word sympathy? Sympathy means what? Sympathizing. What do you mean by pati? Pati is a root word meaning, it's not that Hindi pati meaning husband. I'm talking about the English one. Now pati is a root word meaning feelings of kindness. Now we have so many feelings, so many kinds of feelings. Feelings of kindness is termed as pati. Sympathizing with a person means showing kindness, showing mercy, having pity, etc. That's sympathizing. Now there's homeopathy, allopathy, all these originate from this. In the olden days, nuns were doctors, sisters. So they used to treat the patients with a lot of concern for them, with humanity and all. From this, homeopathy, allopathy, all these originated. So sympathy means like showing kindness, showing mercy and all. What can be the antonym, the opposite of sympathy? Now what do you mean by empathy? E-M-P-A-T-H-Y, empathy. Now empathy is almost similar to sympathy, not the same, almost similar. Now empathizing with a person means placing ourselves in others' position to understand how they feel. And if I place myself in your position to understand how you feel, that is termed as empathizing. Walking a mile in a person's shoes, that's called empathizing. So empathy is almost similar to sympathy, not the same. I asked you the antonym, the opposite of sympathy. One is antipathy. Anti means against and pati means feelings of kindness. So antipathy is against feelings of kindness. One more word can be the opposite of sympathy. Which one? Apathy. Now apathy is a negative word because is a negative prefix meaning no or not. So if I say apathy, that means no pati, no feelings of kindness for others. So I can say antipathy and apathy are negative words. The simple reason is anti and are negative prefixes. What do you mean by the word autobiography? Auto means what? Self, like auto start is self start. Bio means what? Now what do you mean by biology? Biology. Bio is a prefix, logy is a suffix. Bio is a prefix meaning life, related to living things. And logy is a suffix meaning study. So bio means life and logy means study. So what is biology? The study of life is termed as biology. Zoology, you know, zoo refers to animals and logy means study. So study of animals is termed as zoology. What do you mean by theology? Theology. Theo means what? Now one who believes in God is termed as a person who believes in God is termed as a theist. A theist is a person who believes in God. Opposite of theist? Atheist. Because is a negative prefix meaning no or not. So if I say atheist, that means not a theist. So one who believes in God is a theist. One who does not believe in God is an atheist. Now tell me, what do you mean by the prefix theo? I repeat, one who believes in God is a theist. One who does not believe in God is an atheist. So theo is a prefix referring to religion or God. So theo means religion or God and logy means study. So what is theology? The study of religion or study of God is termed as theology. The study of the Bible, the study of the Quran, the Ramayanam, all these can be termed as theology. Come back to autobiography. Auto means self. Bio means life. Graph means what? Graph is something that is written. Autograph is self-written. So auto means self, bio means life, graph means written. So what is autobiography? Self-written about life is termed as autobiography. That means if I write my life history, that is termed as autobiography. Right? Then what is biography? If somebody else writes about my life, that is termed as biography, because auto is not there. So dividing a word into prefix, suffix and root will surely help us to a good extent. Now what do you mean by this word? Democracy. Democracy. Not the exact meaning of this word, I know the meaning. Not the definition of this word, I know the definition in fact. I'm asking you the exact meaning of this word. Democracy. Now demo is a prefix, crazy is a suffix. Demo or dem means people and crazy means rule. Right. So demo means people, crazy means rule. So what is democracy? Crazy means the rule or the system of government. So demo means people and crazy means rule. So democracy is rule by the people or people's rule. Now democracy is of the people, by the people, for the people. The people's rule is termed as democracy. Autocracy. Auto means self. Crazy means rule. Autocracy is self-rule. Self-rule in the sense like a dictatorship. If I say that I am the only person having all the powers, and if I consider you as my slaves, I should be termed as an autocratic ruler. Hitler, Saddam Hussein, Mussolini, all these people are examples of autocratic rulers. What is theocracy? Theo means God and cracy means rule. God will not come and rule. Right? A rule in the name of God, where religious people rule or where the religion rules is termed as theocracy. All Arab countries where the religion rules, Jainism, Buddhism, all these can be termed as theocracy. What do you mean by this word? Monologue. Monologue. Mono means what? Single. Log means what? Log. Now what do you mean by dialogue? Dia does not mean two. Bi means two. Right? Dia does not mean two. Bi means two. If I say a bilingual writer, who can be called a bilingual writer? Bi means two, lingual means languages. So one who can write in two languages can be called a bilingual writer. Trilingual, three languages, because tri refers to three. Multilingual, many languages, because multi means many. One who can write in many languages can be called a multilingual writer. Who can be called, I'll come back to this. Who can be called a multi-dexterous person? Who can be called an ambidextrous person? Now bi means two, ambi means both. Now if I can write using my left hand as well as my right hand, I should be termed as an ambidextrous person. This is multi-dexterous. Now multi means many. It's not about writing with the legs as well. Multi means many. Dexter is a root word, meaning, if I say dexterity, dexter is a root word meaning talents, abilities or skills. So multi means many, dexter refers to talents or abilities. So who can be called a multi-dexterous person? One who has got many skills, many abilities, many talents. A multi-talented person can be called a multi-dexterous person, a versatile person. So dia does not mean two, dia means across or through, right? Across or through. I'll give an example. Then log means speech. Log means speech. So dia means across or through and log means speech. So what is a dialogue? The statement made by a person is called a dialogue. I told you dia means across or through, like diagonal, diagram. Diagonal means saying from one end to the other end. It's across, right? So dialogue is a statement made by a person. Now statement made, if I say something to you, the statement made by me is my dialogue. If you say something to me, the statement made by you is your dialogue. And when I say something to you, I'm conveying that to you. It's through. Similarly, when you say something to me, you're conveying that to me. It's through. Let's call it dialogue. You know, when you go for a play or movie, a script and all, a person's name will be mentioned, then the dialogue. That means the statement that has to be made by that person, that is called his dialogue, right? The other character, his statement, that means his dialogue. The statement made by a person is called dialogue. This is monologue. Mono means single and log means speech. A monologue is not single speech actually. Speech made by a single person. Speech by a single person is called a monologue. If I say I'm delivering a speech, I'm the only person who is speaking and you are the listeners and you are being silent listeners. Means I say something to you, you're not saying anything back to me. That is called a monologue. In the case of a monologue, there will be only one speaker. The listeners will be there. The only thing is they will be silent listeners. That's called a monologue. Then what is a soliloquy? S-O-L-I-L-O-Q-U-Y. Soliloquy. S-O-L-I-L-O-Q-U-Y. Solo means what? Single. In fact, solo means being alone, without company, like isolated, solitude, solitary, etc. Solitary repan, right? So solo means single or being alone. Log and loci mean the same speech, right? Log and loci mean the same speech. So solo means single or being alone, and loci means speech. So what is soliloquy? Soliloquy, speech by a single person. Are the meanings of monologue and soliloquy the same or different? The meanings are entirely different. In the case of a monologue, there will be only one speaker. The listeners will be there. The only thing is there will be silent listeners. In the case of a soliloquy also, there will be only one speaker but no listeners. Right? Can you imagine such a situation? Are we mad? One speaker, no listeners. Now, have you ever gone for a soliloquy in your life? At least once. Yes. Almost every day we go for a soliloquy. If you don't go for a soliloquy, means you're mad. Almost every day we go for a soliloquy. If I say, tomorrow morning I have to deliver a speech. Tonight I'll practice. Will I call everyone and practice? Will I say, come, I'm going to practice? No. I'll practice all by myself. That means what I say will be heard only by me. That is called a soliloquy. Means in the case of a soliloquy, the speaker and the listener will be the same person. In the case of a monologue, only one speaker. The listeners will be there. The only thing is they will be silent listeners. Then what is a conversation? What's a conversation? Now, a conversation is always a to and fro process, where the speaker becomes a listener and the listener becomes a speaker. And when I say something to you, I am the speaker, you're the listener. When you say something to me, you're the speaker, I am the listener. Now, conversation is always an interactive process. Exchange of ideas, thoughts, emotions, feelings and all. Now if I say radio, monologue, soliloquy, conversation. We cannot say anything back to the radio, right? Our only choice is to be silent listeners. That becomes a monologue. I give you a call, a phone call, conversation. Both of us are interacting with each other. We are exchanging our thoughts, ideas and all. That becomes a conversation. So going by this prefix, suffix and root will surely, by these prefixes, suffixes and roots will surely help us eliminate some options when it comes to vocabulary based questions. Now, as you know, I've already told you about double negation. When two negative terms come together, the meaning becomes positive. We have discussed double negation. In the case of vocabulary, the most important thing is contextual vocabulary. We have gone for this one in detail. Now, contextual vocabulary is an advantage while approaching questions like reading comprehension, cloze tests and sentence completion questions. You know how we have solved questions on reading comprehension, cloze tests and sentence completion. When you take a sentence, you try to understand the meaning of a sentence and frame a word of your own to fill in the blank. Then see which word among the options has a meaning similar to that of the word you have on mind. That way we can keep eliminating some options. Contextual vocabulary. Now, as you know, in English, one word has many meanings. When you refer a dictionary, the word will be here, the meanings will last till here. So one word has many meanings, and the meaning of a word depends on the context or sentence in which the word appears. So based on the context, with the help of concepts, not guesswork, you must be able to understand the meaning and identify the charge of the new word that you come across. If I say sound, you know one meaning of sound. What if I say, the boy is sound at mathematics? The boy is sound at mathematics. What can be the contextual meaning of sound here? The boy is sound at mathematics means good, perfect, excellent, sharp, knowledgeable, marvelous, fantastic. All these words fit the context. So meaning of a word keeps changing. If I say romance, does the word romance mean the love affair between a boy and a girl? The love affair between a boy and a girl is termed as romance or not? You know this. Yes, there is of course romance. But there is only one of the meanings of romance. Now every sentence must make sense. If I say, I'm in romance with this pen. I'm in romance with this pen. Am I going to marry the pen? No. Makes sense or not? I'm in romance with this pen, of course makes sense. I'm in romance with my phone, makes sense. I'm in romance with nature, makes sense. Now extreme liking towards anything can be termed as romance. Right? The love affair between a boy and a girl is only one of the meanings of romance. If I say I'm in romance with this pen, that means I like this pen very much. I'm a nature lover. I'm in romance with nature. Now you know romantic poets, right? Romantic poets, are they people who had a love affair earlier? No. Romantic poets are those who can identify the beauty in everything they see. Something called aesthetics. Aesthetic is all about beauty. And every object has beauty. A pen has beauty, a window has beauty, a door has beauty, your dress, my dress, everything has beauty. So a poet who can identify or enjoy the beauty in each and everything that he looks at can be called romantic poet. So one word has many meanings. If I say toilet, he is in the toilet. Right? He is in the toilet. Does it mean that he is in the washroom? Not necessarily. Because toilet is any private room. Any private room can be termed as a toilet. If I'm sitting in a closed cabin, that can be called a toilet. Your bedroom can be called a toilet because it's a closed place and closed space, and you have your privacy there. So that can be called a toilet. That is why we use the word washroom to make it more precise. Washroom is only washroom. Toilet can be any private room. The meaning keeps changing. Now, as you know, English is a very complicated language. Sometimes a single word is more than enough to change the entire meaning of a sentence. That is the context and the entire charge of a sentence. The meaning and the charge may change with a single word sometimes. If I say, imagine it's very cold outside, right? It's very cold outside and I like this weather very much. Right? It's very cold outside and I like this weather very much. If I like this weather very much, should I say it is so cold outside or it is too cold outside? One is negative, one is positive. I said I like this weather very much. If I like this weather very much, should I say it is so cold outside or too cold outside? Which is negative? So is negative, too is negative. Now, too is negative, whereas so is positive. If I say the girl is too smart, negative, positive. If I tell you, you are too smart, should you feel happy? How many will feel happy? If I tell you, you are too smart, should you feel happy or not? Too smart means what? Over smart. Being overly smart is termed as too smart. Now, too is always something that is unnecessary, extra, we say overaction, right? So, too conveys a negative meaning, whereas so conveys a positive meaning. So, if someone says you are too smart, don't feel happy. If someone says you are so smart, then you can feel happy. So too conveys a negative meaning, so conveys a positive meaning. So a single word changes the entire meaning and the entire charge of a sentence. Now too much of everything is bad. Too good, too innocent. People who are too innocent must be careful about. They'll try to cheat us. They'll be cunning. Too good, too innocent, too honest, too sincere, too intelligent, all these are negative. So good, so intelligent, so beautiful, so honest, so intelligent, all these are positive. Too, TWO2, when it comes with an adjective is negative. So when it comes with an adjective is positive. Very, V-E-R-Y. Very can be used in a negative sense or positive sense. Now, very can be used in a negative sense as well as in a positive sense. It depends on the word with which we use very. Very good, positive. Very beautiful, very intelligent, very honest, all these are positive. Very bad, negative. Very ugly, very dirty, very cunning, all these are negatively charged. So very can be used in a negative sense as well as in a positive sense. It depends on the word with which we use very. Fine? So some words, there's something called common Indian errors. Common Indian errors in a sense like we Indians have invented many things in the English language which the people of England don't know. And we use those every day while speaking. Right? If I say, for example, may I know your good name? Right? May I know your good name? Correct or not? When people at high standards use this. Right? There's nothing like good name or bad name. Every name is good. It is just may I know your name. May I know your sweet name, correct? A boy's names won't be sweet, girls' names will be sweet. May I know your sweet name? Makes sense or not? There's nothing like bad name, good name, sweet name or spicy name. It is just name, right? Now, may I know your sweet name, may I know your good name. All these are what we people use just to create an impression on others. It is just may I know your name. Some common Indian errors. Now, in the case of close test, you may come across some close options, very close options. There are words that almost mean the same, only a slight difference will be there. You may come across such words in the case of close test and sentence completion. If I say, now the thing is, some words that sound positive may be negative. Some words that sound negative may be positive. Such words may confuse us by identifying the charge of a sentence. For example, if I say, artful, A-R-T-F-U-L. Artful is a negative or a positive word? Fine. Art is a negative or a positive word? Art. Art is of course a positive word. What may art? If I say a person of arts, means a person of talents, abilities, skills and all. So art is of course a positive word. Artful, artless, which is negative, which is positive. Artful is negative, positive. Artful is negative, whereas artless is positive. Now if someone says I'm an artful person, I should not feel happy. Because an artful person is one who plays tricks on others, who cheats others, who deceives others. Whereas not negatively charged. Whereas an artless person is a very sincere, straightforward, innocent, honest person. So even though artful sounds positive, it is negative. Artless sounds negative, but it is positive. You know the story of Adam and Eve, the first couple on earth. Now, you know Lucifer, you know Satan, right? Satan, in Malayalam we say Satan, right? Satan will say. Now Satan lives in hell, God lives in heaven. Lucifer is actually Satan, was Satan. Lucifer was an angel, a very close person to God. Lucifer wanted too much of power. So as a punishment, God sent Lucifer to hell. Then he became Satan. Adam and Eve were very close persons to God. Satan wanted to take revenge on God, but he couldn't take revenge on God directly. So he found Adam and Eve as instruments to take revenge on God. So this couple, Adam and Eve, want to go to a garden, the Garden of Eden. There was an apple tree. So God asked them not to touch that tree or not to eat the fruit of that tree. Satan came there in the form of a serpent, a snake. Eve was a very innocent person. People who are very innocent can be cheated very easily. So Satan came there in the form of a serpent, a snake. He played some tricks on Eve and made Eve eat the fruit of that particular tree. Now many superstitious people believe that is the very first sin committed by mankind. If that sin had not been committed, there would have been no sufferings in our lives. Every day we suffer a lot. Giving a session is suffering, taking a session, listening to my class is also suffering. We suffer a lot every day. So many people believe that if that sin had not been committed, there would have been no sufferings in our lives. Now Adam loved Eve like anything. So Adam wanted to share that sin, so he also sinned, so he also ate that fruit. Now Satan could cheat Eve because Satan was an artful person, a very cunning person. And Eve got cheated because Eve was an artless person, a very innocent person. A person was too innocent. One who was too innocent can be cheated very easily. Right? So Satan could cheat Eve because Satan was artful. Eve got cheated because Eve was artless, very innocent. I'm not saying too innocent because we should speak positive about Eve. Very innocent. Heartless, fine. Heartful, H-E-R-T-F-U-L. Heartful, negative, positive. Heartless is negative, positive. If I say you are a heartless person, you are a heartless person doesn't mean you don't have heart. You cannot survive without heart. Right? You should not take the literal meaning actually. No one can survive without heart. A heartless person is one who does not have any kind of humanity, mercy or concern for others. A stone-hearted person can be termed as a heartless person, negative. Heartful, negative, positive. It is not negative, it is not positive. There's no word like heartful. Even though we use it, it's not there in the language. Heartful congratulations or hearty congratulations. It's always hearty congratulations, wholehearted congratulations, right? Heartful is not there. Awful, A-W-F-U-L. Awful, negative, positive. Even though it is full, it is negative, right? Awful means like bad, in fact, the worst. The opposite of awful is awesome. Awesome is positive, that you know. Awesome performance, that means positive one. If I say performance was awful, you should never feel happy. If I say performance was awesome, then you can feel happy. Awful is negative, awesome is positive. Now some words are there which can be both negative and positive. I'll tell you those. Like if I say force. Force is a negative or a positive word. Negative, positive, or both. If I say the children were forced to work on the road. The children were forced to work on the road. Negative, positive. Negative. The children were forced to work on the road means they did not want to work. They got compelled to work. Negative. He has delivered his speech with force. Positive. He has delivered his speech with force means with energy, with enthusiasm, confidence and all. Right? Positively charged. Forceful, negative, positive. Forceful. If I say, he has given her a forceful slap. Right? Negative, positive. And if she deserves it, that is positive. Right? But slapping is a negative action or positive action? Negative action. So if I say forceful slap, that means the word forceful tells us about the intensity of the slap. Intensity of the negative action. So forceful slap becomes negative. He delivers forceful speeches. He delivers forceful speeches. Negative, positive? Positive. What do you mean by forceful speeches? Confident speeches, motivational speeches, inspiring speeches, energetic speeches, influential speeches and all. And whenever you say something, you should say that forcefully. Only then you can create an impression on others. Only then you can influence others, convince others. When you go to an interview, even if you say a blunder, I'm not asking you to go and say a blunder. Even if you say a blunder, say it forcefully. The sun rises in the west. If you say it very forcefully, the interviewer will think twice whether what you said is correct or not. But after thinking twice, you'll get to know that what you said is a blunder, your case will be gone. I'm not asking you to go and I'm not encouraging you to go and say a blunder out there. Whatever you say it very forcefully. Only then you can create an impression on others. You know how politicians speak? They speak very forcefully because they want to sway the mob. Sway the mob means like create an impression on the people. They want to influence the people. That's the reason why they speak in a very forceful manner. So some words can be both negative and positive. If I say getting tempted. Getting tempted is negative or positive. If you find any difficulty in understanding any word, the usage of any word, just frame a sentence with that word. If I say, I got tempted to have ice cream. I got tempted to have ice cream. This sentence is negatively charged or positively charged. Understand the meaning. I got tempted to have ice cream. What is the meaning of a sentence? I got tempted to have ice cream means I should not have ice cream or I'm not supposed to have ice cream, but I'm getting compelled in a way to have ice cream. That's the meaning. Negative, positive, negative. Getting tempted is always negative. If I say, I got tempted by Gandhiji, makes sense or not? I got tempted by Gandhi is a blunder. The meaning is completely different actually, forget about it. I got motivated by Gandhi is fine, or I got inspired by Gandhi is fine. I got tempted by Gandhi is a blunder. Then when you go to an interview, if you're very sure that you will crack the interview, and before leaving the room, if you feel like flattering the interviewer, should you say, sir, you tempted me a lot? No. If you say that, you'll be kicked out that moment itself. Whatever you have gained till then will be lost forever. If you say, sir, you have motivated me a lot, means you may get the job. Or sir, you inspired me a lot, job also means you may get the job. If you say, sir, you have tempted me a lot, means your case is gone. So temptation is a negative word. I'm not talking about the chocolate, that's a different story, that's a proper noun. Temptation is a negative word, whereas motivation and inspiration are positive words. If we get tempted, we do all negative activities. If we get motivated or inspired, we do all positive activities. Now, as I told you earlier, in the case of closures and sentence completion, we may come across some close options that almost mean the same, right? Only a slight difference will be there. If I ask you, what's the difference between praising and flattering. Praise and flatter, difference. One is negative, one is positive. Praising is positive, whereas flattering is negative. Now, in fact, both mean speaking good about a person, right? Both mean speaking good about a person. Speaking good about a person, if he deserves it, that is called praising. If he doesn't deserve it, it is called flattering. Now, we flatter a person for our own benefit. If I want something from you, I'll keep on saying many good things about it. My only intention is that I should get benefited from that. That is called flattering. So praising is done with a positive intention, flattering is done with a negative intention. That's the only difference. What's the difference between getting surprised and getting shocked? Getting surprised and getting shocked. Now, in fact, both are sudden emotions, right? Both are sudden emotions. One is negative, one is positive. Getting surprised is positive, whereas getting shocked is negative. Now, should I say, I am surprised at your performance, or I am shocked at your performance? Which one makes sense? Both make sense, depends on your performance. And if I like your performance, I should say I'm surprised. If I don't like your performance, I should say I'm shocked. So both are grammatically correct, both make sense. The only thing is one is negative, one is positive. And I told you every sentence must make sense. At the time of a birthday, you give your friend surprise or shock. There's nothing like birthday shock. It's always birthday surprise. It's something positive. If I go for a sentence like, when I heard the news of my friend's father's death, I was surprised. Make sense or not? When I heard the news of my friend's father's death, I was surprised. Make sense? No. When I hear the news of my friend's father's death, I should feel surprised or shocked? I should feel shocked because something negative, right? Surprise is something positive. Now, when something really bad happens in the society, on television, you will find surprising news or shocking news. You will never find surprising news. You will find shocking news only. If they mention it as surprising news, the next day they have to shut the channel. The people will make them shut the channel. It will always be shocking news. When the boy got the first prize, his parents were shocked. Make sense or not? When the boy got the first prize, his parents were shocked. When the boy gets a first prize, his parents should feel surprised or shocked. And when we get the first prize, sometimes our parents may be shocked. But usually when a son gets a first prize, his parents should feel surprised or shocked. They should feel surprised. There's nothing gets shocked here. We get shocked for negative activity. Electric surprise or electric shock? Is anything like electric surprise? There's nothing like electric surprise. It's always electric shock. There's something negative. So getting surprised is positive, whereas getting shocked is negative. What's the difference between complete and finish? Complete and finish, difference? In a way, both are synonyms, but slight difference is there. Complete is usually used in a positive sense. Finish can be both negative and positive. It depends on the sentence in which we come across this word. If I say, I'll finish my work. I'll finish my work, positive. I'll finish my work means I'll complete my work, positive. My work will be completed by me, positive. I'll finish him, negative, positive. What do you mean I'll finish him? I'll finish him means I'll kill him. That is negative. Now, finishing a person is negative, positive. Finishing a person. A wife completes her husband, or a wife finishes her husband. Which one makes sense? A wife completes her husband makes sense, or a wife finishes her husband makes sense. Both make sense actually, depends on the wife. Now nowadays we find wives finishing her husbands. Nothing wrong in that. Both are grammatically correct, both make sense. The only thing is one is negatively charged, one is positively charged. If a wife completes her husband, that is positive. If a wife finishes her husband, that is negative. Both make sense. Which one makes more sense here? A wife completes her husband makes more sense, or wife finishes her husband makes more sense? Now, a wife's duty is to complete her husband or finish her husband. A wife's duty is not to finish her husband. A wife's duty is to complete her husband. So that one makes more sense. Now, a husband always says, my wife is my better half, right? My wife is my better half. Husband says that my wife is my better half because she completes him or finishes him. Because she completes him. And if she finishes him, then he will not be alive to say the statement, in fact. So wife's duty is always to complete her husband. That makes more sense. What's the difference between speaking and talking? Speaking and talking, difference. One is formal, the other is informal. Speaking is formal, talking is informal. Now speaking is something that is done with a purpose in order to convey an important piece of information. Talking is something that is done without a purpose. Something that is unnecessary at the moment is termed as talking. Now teachers usually say stop speaking or stop talking. They'll never say stop speaking. They always encourage us to speak. They always say stop talking because there is something that is unnecessary at the moment. There's a difference between speaking and talking. Difference between listening and hearing. Listening and hearing, difference. One is an active process and the other is a passive process. Listening is an active process, whereas hearing is a passive process. Now we always listen to listening means like concentrating and trying to understand. Hearing is like taking through one ear, leaving through the other ear. We always listen to the voices that are pleasant to our ears. And we just hear the noises that are unpleasant to our ears. Now we listen to music or we hear music. We listen to music because music is always pleasing, pleasant to our ears. We listen to the noises outside or we hear the noises outside. We just hear the noises outside because they are disturbing. You listen to my class or you hear my class? You can hear my class as well. It varies from person to person. When we were in colleges, we never used to listen to classes. We just used to hear classes. Right? Varies from person to person. But the exact usage must be, or the correct usage must be, we listen to a class or we listen to a lecture. Because a class or a lecture is meant to be listened to and comprehended, understood. That is the correct usage. Difference between listening and hearing. So we can come across words like these in the case of clauses and sentence completion. Words that almost mean the same. Now in the case of vocabulary itself, there's something called, we have to go for something on idioms and phrases. Right? Idioms and phrases. What is a phrase? A phrase is in fact, idioms and phrases are meant to be used for the native speakers of the language. English is not a native language, it's a foreign language to us, right? But we have to go for some idioms and phrases because there will be questions on those. Now, if the phrase is given in a sentence, we can get the help of contextual vocabulary. We can make an educated guess about the meaning of the phrase from the sentence. But if the phrase is given without a sentence, nothing can be done if you don't know the meaning of the phrase. Now, there were times where they have given phrases and sentences. There were times where they have not given a sentence, only the phrase. So we will go for both the types. As I said, a phrase is a small group of words taken as a single unit conveying a single meaning. I told you something about it about phrases while discussing voice and speech. A verb followed by a preposition is called a phrase. For example, if I say pass away. Pass is a verb, away is a preposition. A verb followed by a preposition can be called a phrase. Now we can never divide the words in a phrase. I told you while discussing voice and speech. And we should never take the meanings of the individual words in a phrase. I should not take the individual meaning of pass or away. When these two words are combined, they are taken as a single unit conveying a single meaning. That is called a phrase. Now, what if I pass away? Pass away means what? If I go from this side to that side, should you say Mithun passed away? No. Pass away means to die. If I go from one side to the other, it's not Mithun passed away. It's Mithun passed away means die. It's Mithun passed by. Now while speaking, there is no need for you to go for phrases. You can use a phrase provided you know the meaning of that phrase. Or else don't use it. Because phrases have got different meanings that we don't know. Once while I was taking a session, I was telling the students something about these phrases. I gave this phrase, pass away. I asked them the same thing. If I go from one side to the other, will you say Mithun passed away? Some started laughing because they knew the meaning of it. Others were just staring at me. They didn't know the meaning of it. All of a sudden, one guy very seriously said, no sir, will not say Mithun passed away. So I asked him, then what will you say? He said, we'll say Mithun sir passed away. Anyway, I'm happy about one thing. He showed his respect for me. Call me sir. Right? Mithun sir passed away. It's not about Mithun or Mithun sir. Pass away means to die. right? So use a phrase provided know the meaning of that phrase. And at the time of the examination, we have no choice because there will be questions on idioms and phrases. We have to go for some idioms and phrases. What do you mean by eat in? E-A-T-I-N. Eat in means, if I say I ate in today morning. Eat in means eating at home. Eating at home is termed as eat in. I ate in today morning means I ate at home today morning. Then what is eat out? Sitting outside eating? Eat in means eating at home. So eat out means, eating at a restaurant or a hotel. Eating at a restaurant or a hotel is termed as eat out. Shall we eat out? Shall we eat at a restaurant or a hotel? Ask her in means inviting a person to a house. Eat in means eating at home. So ask her in means inviting a person to a house. Then what do you mean by ask her out? Asking her to get out? No. Ask her out means inviting a person for a romantic appointment, on a date. Inviting a person on a romantic appointment on a date is called ask her out. Taking her to a movie, to a park and all, to dinner. If when you go for online class, if a lady faculty comes to your class and if you want to ask permission to go out, will you say, may I ask you out? No. The meaning is completely different. Asking a person out is not asking permission to go out. It's inviting a person on a romantic date or a romantic appointment. A date or romantic appointment. Now in front of restaurants, you'll find dine in. Dine in means go and eat at home. No. Anyway, you'll eat there only. Dine in means you can feel at home. You can eat here the way you eat at home. That is dine in. What is a motel? M-O-T-E-L. Motel. What do you mean by M-O-R-T-L? Mortal. Now M-O-R-T is a root word meaning death, right? Death, like mortuary. Post-mortem. Pre means before, post means after. Post-mortem is after death. Mortal. Human beings are mortal. Will die one day. God is immortal. No death. The immortal is a positive word because of double negation. I am is a negative prefix meaning not. And mort means death. Two negative terms coming together. Immortal, positive, no death. I-N, I-M, U-N, D-I-S, M-I-S, D-E, all these are negative prefixes. I asked you about mortal, M-O-T-E-L, mortal. You'll find on the highways now. A motel, all the dabas you find on the highways are motels. A motel is a roadside restaurant for motorists, those who travel by motor vehicles. It's motor plus hotel, right? Motor plus hotel is motel. There will not be any houses nearby. Those will be intended to attract the people who are traveling by motor vehicles. Right? That's a motel, M-O-T-E-L. What do you mean by? I think you know this phrase. Holy cow. Holy cow means it's not religious cow or sacred cow. We should not take the individual meaning of holy or cow. It's a phrase. You have this phrase in the Voacbulary song. You know the Voacbulary song, right? What was it? Cow, cow, holy cow and all. Yeah, Voacbulary song. You know the song by heart, right? Even if you know the song by heart, you will never think about the meaning of the song. You will think about the meaning only when the situation demands. Holy cow does not mean sacred cow, religious cow or pious cow. Holy cow means it's a usage meant to express depression, sadness or shock. Like holy shit. When do we say shit? When we're happy we don't say shit. When we're depressed, irritated or frustrated we'll say shit. Have you watched that movie, Tree movie? You know the situation in which he sings that song? After the breakup, in a very depressed state, after getting drunk, he sings that song. So holy cow means expressing depression, sadness or shock. So we have to go for some idioms and phrases because there will be questions on those. So first, the vocabulary part will start with these prefixes, suffixes and roots. I'll take you through those in detail. We'll go for some words related to those prefixes and all. Whenever you learn a prefix, a root or suffix, whatever it is, learn the meaning of it and associate 4 or 5 words with the prefix. So from the meaning you can get to know the charge of that prefix, and that is the way you want to keep by-hearting words, right? Associate those words with prefixes, suffixes and roots. So the vocabulary part we need to focus on, and prefix, suffix and root first, then antonyms, synonyms, one word substitutions, idioms and phrases. These are what we need in the vocabulary part as far as our examination is concerned, in the vocabulary part of our examination. Got it? Thank you.